I'm ready.
What's poppin', boss in the building? You guys check me out on the Faith and Hustle Show. Once again, that's the Faith and Hustle Show. If you missed this, you missed it all. Welcome to 2020, Faith and Hustle. SUC, DPG for life.
So yeah, my shorty lie. I be all up on his hip just like a 45. Took me all this time to get him, now it's time to rise.
Host and celebrity realtor Faith and Hustle, and we got Sounds in the building.
What's going on?
And today, you guys, we got somebody with one of the most ambitious people in the music industry, one of the bossiest females I've known to date.
Oh, thank you.
Boss herself of DPG SUC.
What up? What's poppin'? What is poppin'?
Everything.
Faith and Hustle in the building.
No, we're excited to have you. When I met you at Mary Griffin's party, I didn't read nothing.
Right.
I was just vibing. We were just dancing and having a great time.
Right.
But there are a lot of things about you that, like, you're very humble.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Humbled and soft-spoken.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you. Thank you.
So for those that don't know about Boss, you were born and raised in LA, starting, right?
Correct.
And from there, it seems like you've always had musical influences in your life.
Correct.
So let's start on that.
Correct. Well, I come from a very musical background. One of those type of families on my father's side where everyone is either a singer or a musician.
Mm-hmm.
So we grew up in the church having to sing, having to play the instruments, things like that. My aunt and uncle produced for Motown for several years.
That is so
So
cool.
as a young child, I was able to like see studio sessions, things like that. They had a studio in the house before it was cool to have a studio in your house type of deal. But yeah, my uncle, he wrote Little Cinderella Stay a While for Michael Jackson. It was also Jay-Z's Encore. Jay-Z
so
had to reach out to my uncle in order to get clearance for that production. And also Guess Who's Back featuring Scarface and Kanye West. They had to reach out to my uncle also. So that powerful musical influence has always been there.
So you learned the business side of it early on too.
Correct. We grew up singing, as I said before, but as far as the business side, my uncle would not allow us to play studio. So he and my aunt started to teach us different things about contracts and things like that. He always said that when we took it serious, that we would want to learn the business side first. And then, too, I'm sure you know a lot of things that were going on with artists in the early 60s and 50s and so forth. Like, they really didn't get anywhere close to their value as far as payment is concerned. A lot of them, died broke. So he was trying to prevent that from happening to the next generation of his family.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
So then you basically became an intern for the nation's first hip-hop station.
Yes,
So you've
KDAY.
been like a trendsetter since day one.
KDAY in Los Angeles. Shout out to Greg Mack. They are actually back running. They've been back running for several years now. It was actually the place when Brandy Garcia left Houston. She went to work for KDAY.
Okay.
So yeah, they are still active.
Out there doing their thing.
Yes, and like you said, the first all rap radio station in the country. KDAY was. I didn't know that at that time, but yeah, it means a lot now.
Trendsetter. You should see if you can get in the Guinness Book or something, That would be so dope.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
So was it there at that station when you became an personal assistant? I'm gonna let you say it because it's gonna sound real coming from you.
Well, at that station, what I did basically, I have an older sister that's 4.5 years older than I am, and she was associated with the station. I was still in school. She was able to bring me in answering phones for the station as part of a work study program. So answering those phones, I was able to meet people like Ice-T before he was on the TV show and
Law
things
and
like
Order,
that. Yes. People like the LA Dream Team, some of these groups you guys will not know of, but they were like the first people in hip hop
of that era.
Yes,
That's a big deal.
Yes.
So you got into working and becoming a personal assistant for Nate Dogg. while he was still signed to Death Row.
Correct. Nate Dogg was my god
Rest in
brother.
peace, yeah.
Yes, rest in peace, big bro. So basically, just being the younger one that was around, it was Daz and I that were the younger of the group as far as that Death Row situation and everything was concerned. He saw my skill. I'm also an artist, so he would, of course, help me out on the singing and stuff like that. But he brought me in to where I could have a position within the industry compared to just being a female that was just there hanging out. You know, the outcome for those females didn't end too well, so I was very much protected. Thank God, you know, through my brothers. R.I.P. Nate Dogg once again.
So did you get a chance to see any of the other people who were signed to Death Row at that time?
Of course.
Okay, you know,
of course.
You know, you saw
well, Nate Dogg and Nate Dogg, Snoop Dogg, and Daz Dillinger are first cousins.
Okay.
So I was able to really grow up with these guys. We ate tacos together, drank 40s together once I got old enough. Yeah. And Daz and I, once again, being the younger of the group, we pretty much were drawn to one another. He was my first girl. We ended up dating for 3 years.
What?
And I left, came back to the South because that's where my mother was. And he and I have never lost contact. We're actually working on a project right now. I have a total of 7 tracks that are featuring Daz Dillinger. So I'm going to just connect some West Coast to the Third Coast and, you know, bridge this gap and make some things do what they do.
Look, I know about your upcoming album that you're working on. We're going to get to that too, but I like to go over the past, the present, and the future because, like, you're so deep. There's a lot to you.
Thank you.
What's something that, some of the advice from your family working with Motown, you, Nate Dogg working with him, what is some life-giving advice that they gave you that you still use to this day?
Learn how to read and understand what the contracts are stating.
Read the contracts.
Learn about the difference between a work for hire and you doing your music and receiving all of your points on it. And the greatest lesson that they taught me was, as a female, keep your legs closed. You know, and your mouth open. Heck yeah, you know, because once you lose your respect, it's gone.
Right. And they treated you like one from what you're saying, and that's really respectable. I think that's dope. So what led you to start wanting to learn how to engineer, record, you produce your own tracks? Like, were you kind of just tired of depending on other people? Was it like something like that made you?
Well, I mean, it was a mixture of tired of depending on people, but also the realization of how much females are passed over, overlooked, underrated within the hip-hop industry. So in order for me to be able to do something about that, I indeed had to do something about that, you know?
That's that
grind. As far as an artist is concerned, with the engineers, being in the hip-hop realm, I was used to a lot of engineers that were only used to engineering hip-hop. When you're singing, it's a totally different animal. So in order for me to get the sound that I envisioned in my head out,
sultry.
I had to sit down and kind of do it myself, you know?
So what do you prefer? Go ahead,
let me ask you, so being a female back in the day in the Motown days, how was it to see your aunt as an influence in the industry way back then?
Well, I was not around when they were doing the Motown thing. I'm not that old, bro. But I was.
No, I'm saying you heard stories.
Right, so. Correct. And I saw the plaques on the wall and different things like that. They had a single called "We'll Make It" that they did after Motown, where they made it on the charts and everything, and it was awesome for me to see that. One, because I was seeing it done within the household.
Gotcha.
You know, so I was seeing my uncle produce. I was seeing him engineer. I was there when my aunt was arranging the vocals and the writing, the entire process. So I didn't go into it like missing anything, like feeling like, okay, well, this is supposed to happen. Like, no, you're supposed to make this happen is the vision that I have. But it was awesome. I was able to cross paths with a lot of legends through my aunt and uncle, so it's like that prepared me for my future. When you're seeing people like Smokey Robinson, Teddy Pendergrass, Patti LaBelle, it pretty much dumbs down on your levels of groupiness, as I would call it. It's like when you meet certain people, you're like, nah, this is not a star, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Not taken away from anyone, but it's definitely levels.
So seeing them interact with everybody like that, is that why you stay humble? Does that take part of your humbleness, or?
Well, I mean, I believe that my humbleness comes into play because of the God that I serve.
Gotcha.
You know, regardless of how great I feel I am, or even other people, we are all just filthy rags in His sight. So I look at myself on that level every day, you know, which leaves room for me to grow more. And also, I never want to get to the point to where a person feels like they can't identify or make myself unapproachable.
Gotcha.
It's important to be able to relate to people, and like I like how you shine. Like I said when I first saw you, there was always already something about you, because you had a swag that like you didn't shop. That outfit was not from Houston. I swear, like she got that from somewhere else. But you know, the fact is, you became a producer, an engineer, and all of these things to support your real passion of being an artist.
Correct.
Who would you say influenced you the most? Because your style was kind of trained and taught by men.
Yes.
But I'm sure women empowered you.
Yes, that's true. I would say, of course, my aunt. You know, seeing her working in the industry, knowing that I had an aunt that had worked with Michael Jackson, that was like awesome. But away from her, women like Tina Turner, Anita Baker, these are artists that did their own thing, but they did it their own way also. These were female bosses, you know. Tina Marie was another inspiration, which a lot of people don't know, was the first female, I believe, to actually rap. And this was a Caucasian woman, you know, but you couldn't tell that when she did Square
No,
Biz,
you didn't know.
you couldn't
not
at all.
tell
But that
she
was
got
definitely
soul.
a influence. When she was out there calling herself Lady T, I was able to see that an artist had the ability to almost split themselves in two and be the other side of yourself, and it's still real, it's still you, it's just a different level, a different layer.
So how long you been in Houston now?
I've been back and forth in Houston, I want to say for 13 years? 13 years back and forth. My reason for being here, I started off as an executive assistant to Big H.A.W.K of the Screwed Up Clique. May he rest in peace. But once he made the call or made the announcement that I was working with him, he pretty much handed it down to the other members from there, and I started to handle their business also. So just going back and forth. One day I'm like, okay, I just cannot keep doing this. Let me go ahead and, you can take her. Let me go ahead and just move out there, since it seems like most of my clients are on that end. And it
West
also
Coast
will
talent.
allow me to do more for them, you know, as far as a West Coast realm. Ooh, goodness.
So